our research question is, what are the effects of China's influence on Hong Kong?
So everything starts with one country and two systems. The intentions of this quote were to establish a pact between China and Hong Kong, in which would allow for Hong Kong to reestablish itself with sovereign China by preserving its unique political and economical system. However, due to Hong Kong's rise in democratical reign or power, this started to trouble China's communistic ideologies. And one huge example would be when on CNN, where President Xi Jinping said that Hong Kong is in need of political help, that it's their right to be involved and intervene with Hong Kong's politics for the sake of the country's stability. However, this goes totally against Hong Kong's total autonomy. Another huge example will be the strip of the extradition bill, which would cause for Hong Kongers to be trialed under Chinese government, meaning that Hong Kongers will be trialed over things that were legal once in Hong Kong but illegal in China, which would violate the simple contract that was made in the beginning, leading for Hong Kongers to protest against for the intentional democratical deterioration that China was causing. And also, as they were doing that, the government began to be more persistent and violent.
As previously stated, the introduction of the extradition bill led to a lack of trust between the people of Hong Kong and the government, who were supposed to protect them. Over the course of a couple of months, the protests went from being more peaceful to being more violent. As seen from a Times magazine, where a Hong Kong social activist by the name of Alex Chow, he was 29, he fell off of a third-floor parking garage and had serious head injuries. And the protest was against the police, but the police said that they had nothing to do with it, and the people of Hong Kong felt like that was a lie because there was no cameras around. So that also shifted trust between the two parties. They just wanted their voices heard more clearly.
Okay, there's been like a large increase in violence, like Kamala said, and like it has increased more to riots. And you can see in the first picture that it shows like Molotovs or like items of war being used against the police because they want to like really focus on getting what's right for them. So they got very violent against the police, or are trying to show off. And after that, there's also like non-violent riots or like protests. That's what I mean, or gatherings, which is shown on this picture right here. And it shows like the use of fashion or like anonymous masks and stuff like that representing Hong Kong, or like they're trying to protect themselves inside of China. And for the last picture, it shows how corporations or like retail markets, or how people can't have jobs anymore in Hong Kong, showing how people in Hong Kong are not having a functional life, and this affecting how the people of Hong Kong shows that there will be an economic pause or like a change in lifestyle in Hong Kong, and how this is a real change of lifestyle.
For the psychological impacts, like Leo and Kamaya previously stated, there's been a lot of examples of extreme violence, and people of Hong Kong are witnessing this every day. Times magazine talks about how there's tear gas and rubber bullets being thrown at protesters every day. And because of this, the South China Morning Post discusses how South China Morning Post has been like a journalist site that has been following the situations from the very beginning, very credible source. And they talk about how there has been increased mental health clinic checkups and increased suicide. So far, there have been 4 confirmed deaths from the protests and many more suicides. South China Morning Post also discusses how the police aren't making it any better psychologically on the citizens of Hong Kong. For example, there was a protest at Hong Kong's Polytechnic University. It ended up with students, teachers, bystanders alike being trapped into the university when they sent in
social workers to check in on them. Many of the people were talking about suicide to avoid jail time, and the police were playing songs that were cryptid and coded, and the songs were called Surrounded, Last Christmas, Ambush, Youthful Ignorance, in order to try and scare the Hong Kongers out.
So, as previously mentioned, the protest began because of an extradition bill that the Hong Kongers were not in favor of. And though this extradition bill was eventually taken back, the protest kept going because of police brutality that was going on and that the people had experienced throughout this summer of 2019. Now, though that the protests have died down, it has been brought back because of the coronavirus that has been of an emergency. It has been declared as an international global health warning, and this has led to a lot more police brutality because of the experience already experienced. And according to a Quartz magazine news report, it was stated that 80% of Hong Kongers believe that Hong Kong has not done anything to prevent coronavirus, and that China has taken a step in doing so and taking protective steps, leading to people thinking that Hong Kong has been lacking in terms of the government being intervening and helping the people, leading to China just having more advantage over Hong Kong at this point. Mike Rouse is well informed about Hong Kong. He's a resident of Hong Kong since 1972, and he's a researcher for the South China Morning Post. He declares that it's the people's fault that the police brutality had been happening, so he goes against our claim that the police have started these problems with the people. He claims that the people have triggered police to use tear gases and be more violent, because he refers to a footage that was seen of protesters running to police and seizing their guns. And as Leo had mentioned before, the lifestyle of regular people that have not been involved in these protests are being affected, because it is stated that many more people outside of the protest have died than the actual people within the protest.
Our first solution for our research question is that China will leave Hong Kong, but that's not so easy because of the reason that China included themselves in Hong Kong's political system, and it's mostly due to economic viewpoints, which is like the increasing wealth gap in China.
Our second solution would be China will reestablish the 50-year grace period, and this will probably allow Hong Kong to reestablish a system and grow, allowing them to create a new compromise with China, hopefully.
Our last solution that we came up with would be for China to give in to protester demands, but we don't see that happening anytime soon because China is so used to having control over Hong Kong, and it's not easy to pull them out or like give in to protesters' demands.
Okay. In general, we chose the second solution to be our best one because the other two required China to have less power over Hong Kong, which is not a feasible option for them.
That's it.
Hey, boo.